Haya. A very good morning and welcome to the 16th day of March 2026, and this is Morning Scope Updates, where the sunrise meets the headlines and every conversation matters. Coming to you live from Cityscope TV. We are here to wake you up with stories shaping our nation, the conversations driving our communities, and the inspiration to start your day just right. From breaking news, politics and business to lifestyle, health and also entertainment, we bring to you the full picture of what is happening around you. So grab your cup of coffee and settle in. Let's begin the morning together. I'm your host Clifford Ogonda, and this is Morning Scope right here. Remember to find us on all our social media platforms at Cityscope TV, all our social media platforms, and also remember to send us a short message on 24510, and let's get started. And now the united opposition is asking President William Ruto to come clean on the privatization of various government parastatals, accusing the head of state of harboring personal interest in the sale of the public enterprises. Speaking at the separate church events in Muranga on Sunday, the opposition chief, who did not substantiate their claims, alleged the president's hand in the sale of East Africa Portland Cement, as well as ongoing controversies at the Nairobi Hospital.
Nairobi West Hospital ni yake, na ndio aliua ile hospitali ya Mishra, ndio yake ivume. Ameingia biashara ya insurance, the police insurance scheme ni yake. Ametoka hapo amechukua e-Citizen, ako na 80% shares ya e-Citizen. Ametoka hapo mambo ya hospitality, mahoteli.
Katika wizi wa mali ya umma, ongeza East African Portland Cement. Imeuzwa hivi ati inauzwa kusema ni Watanzania wamenunua. We're even seriously investigating the recent divestiture, majority sale ya Nation Media.
Daktari ambaye wengi mnamjua, over 83-year-old professional Obwaka, is one of the most respected practitioners of medicine in the Republic of Kenya. Chris Bichage wameshikwa, wamewekwa ndani kwa sababu kuna mtu anataka hospitali inaitwa Nairobi Hospital.
Safaricom tumeambiwa na Munyoro hapa, it has been sold at a throwaway price. Kenya Pipeline ilikosa wanunuzi. Hata wale ambao wamenunua hapa Kenya tunajua walilazimishwa.
Tumesikia ile Adani tulimshinda, he is bringing Adani through the back door. We want to tell Bwana Ruto, we are aware of what you're doing.
How can the State House need more money than Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital? The State House is not a referral hospital. Hakuna surgery inafanya huko. Kuna watoto wanasaliwa huko. Hakuna kidney transplant inafanya State House. Why do you need 17 billion?
And the 2027 edition of the WRC Safari Rally will be the first edition that will be fully organized and financed by the private sector. President William Ruto says the Ministry of Sport will still work with the private sector to ensure that the rally is a success. Our sport editor, sorry for that.
We had so many difficulties on the moments. Had very hard to work with me, and team was always very with me. Even I'm
the last Safari Rally, where we will be expending public money to promote it. From next year, this event will be fully funded, fully supported by the private sector. This year's rally marked an important new chapter. The ceremonial starts and the Kasarani Super Special in Nairobi were replaced by a focused Naivasha only.
And now Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna says the government has failed in implementing the 10-point agenda MOU signed in March last year. Speaking in Meru County, the Nairobi Senator accused the government of continued abuse of police power and using force in killing and abductions. He further accused the Kenya Kwanza administration.
Tuliketi baba akiwa na mimi nikiwa pale, tukaandika ile MOU ambayo ili expire tarehe 7. Tuliandika hiyo MOU ndio hivi vitu iwache kufanyika. Sasa siku ile MOU imeisha, badala wakuje watuambie mambo ambayo wamefanya, wanakuja na uongo na ukora. Sisi tunataka turudishe nchi yetu kwa ile reli ambayo iko katika katiba yetu, kwamba tunaweza kuwa nchi ambayo tunatawaliwa na maadili 5 ama 6 muhimu ambayo iko katika katiba yetu.
Major to property and infrastructure countrywide. In the meantime, the Nairobi River Regeneration Program has listed 37 neighborhood located along major river corridors that are vulnerable to flooding.
With stormwater disrupting the silence of the night.
The entire swimming pool has come down onto my house.
The parking lot bearing the evidence of the aftermath, the force of the unforgiving waters which pushed through several walls, gates and cars.
You can see my car is there. It flew. The wall fell and there is a swimming pool behind there which also broke. Along with that all pressure, my car and my neighbor's car, you can see the whole wall came onto us and the cars have flown all the way. If there was any human here, they wouldn't have survived, that's definite. Over here, the house is inaccessible. The guys had to climb over from the other guy's house on the other side. It's a lot of damage.
This is catastrophic for our neighbors. I have lived here for 24 years and we have never seen.
And the Kenya-Uganda artist who benefited from the music empowerment of the late Emuru Adikir MP Yohana Ngeno gathered today in Kapchirwa, Uganda to remember the late legislator.
And Kenyans coming to Uganda to do business. These countries in the East African community will continue to work together for the betterment of our East Africa community.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us in the Morning Scope. We are coming back for the newspaper review in just a bit. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the Morning Scope newspaper review, and I'm still your host Clifford, and we are going to have a look at what is taking shape in our newspapers of today. We just want to have a look at several newspapers and have a look at what is going on in the country and stories that are making headlines, so that we unfold them and make you understand and also give you what to expect in various newspapers across the country. And we are going to have a look at the Standard, and the story that is making headline this morning is I can see Martha Koome in the cover page, and that is the Standard is saying under fire, and the headline says routine or penalty. Questions raised over transfer of judges. Routine or penalty, question raised over transfer of judges. And Supreme Court in Nairobi, that is Chief Justice Martha Koome, has been transferring judges from one station to another, and that is why the questions are being raised why the judges are being transferred from one place to another. And the Kenyan judiciary, once hailed as independent following the Supreme Court's historic nullification of the presidential election in 2017, now finds itself under sustained assault from an executive branch determined to bend the third arm of the government to its will. President William Ruto has labeled court ruling that frustrate his agenda as a judicial overreach, creating a public narrative that judges who rule against the government are enemies of development. And the government now is creating public narrative that judges who rule against the will of the government, that is termed as people who are against development of the country. That is one of the stories that is making headlines this morning, and it is termed as under fire in the Standard newspaper. And also, we also have a final fallout. ODM faction to hold two parallel conversations. That is the Linda Mwananchi and also the Linda Ground faction of the ODM party. And I can see the ODM leader Oburu Oginga in the center of this picture, and also the National Assembly minority leader, that is Junet Mohammed, and the Senator minority leader Stewart Madzayo arrived for the parliamentary group meeting in Nairobi on 3rd 2026, that is on March. And also a showdown is looming in ODM after a function allied. The party Secretary General Sifuna announced it will host a parallel national delegate conversation NDC on March 27th, 2026. That is a delegate conversation that is yet to happen between the two functions, that is the Linda Mwananchi and also the Linda Ground. Sifuna has announced that they will host a parallel national delegate, as also the Linda Ground function also holds its own parallel national delegate on March 2026. That will be on 27th of this month. That is also another story that is making headlines this morning. And now also to floods that is happening in various parts of the country, and that is one thing that is now making headlines since the rains began. This early March, and also as we get into April, we have houses marooned by floods after Ngong River burst its banks and destroyed a bridge at Kayole Potmo, cutting off the link between Kayole Potmo, that is downtown, and Karingata. That is a week after devastating floods swept through parts of Nairobi, leaving more than 20 people dead. And also today, this morning, earlier in our news, we found almost 2,000 families that were displaced by the current ongoing floods in the country. And that is a story that is also making headlines. And also, residents are still grappling with the aftermath of fresh floods continue to disrupt life in several estates. As we can see, lives have been disrupted, and also we have lost several. Up to yesterday, the death toll has rose up to 69%, and so the 69th number. That is the people that we have lost across the country, and also in various parts of Nairobi that has been affected by the flood that is currently ongoing in Nairobi. As the rainy season is continuing, we urge all the residents within Nairobi and areas that are affected to stay away from the floods in as much as possible, so that we avoid the death toll that is rising rapidly in the country. And also we have my brother-in-law, his kidney, my second chance at health and life. That is also one of the stories that is making headlines, is that my brother-in-law, his kidney, my second chance at health and life. On March 14, 2025, at Kiare, Mwangi was wheeled into the operating room, and the world around him slowed down as a single moment. The bright hospital lights above him symbolized the light at the end of the tunnel after years of pain. He was not scared but grateful, because somewhere in that same hospital his brother-in-law was. That is also a story that is making headlines this morning. And also we have Sifuna's 2027 dilemma: run alone or create alliance with Gachagua. Sifuna 2027 dilemma: run alone or create alliance with Gachagua, because Gachagua is currently in the opposition and leading the opposition, and also from the fallout of Sifuna and also Babu Owino forming their leader ground. So we are asking if probably Sifuna will run alone or create alliance with Gachagua. That is a question that is disturbing the country. And the Senator Edwin Sifuna, during the People's Delegate Festival at Uhuru Park in Nairobi, that was March 2026. And also ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna is the man of the moment. He has been the talk of the country in the last few weeks since his Orange Democratic Movement ODM party attempted to kick him out from the Secretary General position. He is creating vibes not only among the excited youths on social media platforms but also in political circles. That is the story of Edwin Sifuna, who has been the talk of town just a few weeks after the ODM party and the ODM party leadership tried to kick him out of the office of the General Secretary, or as the General Secretary of ODM party. And so questions are running around that probably Edwin Sifuna will form an alliance with Gachagua. We are waiting to see his next move and also his political moves across the country. And Edwin Sifuna is creating vibes not only among the excited youth and also on social media platforms. That is a story that is also in the Standard newspaper. You can grab your paper and read more about it. APRO as 2 tribes dominate SHA jobs. APRO as 2 tribes dominate SHA jobs. Despite heated debate over alleged irregularities in the hiring process of the Social Health Authority, that is SHA, 2 communities continue to dominate jobs at the agency, raising concerns over compliance with constitutional requirements of diversity. And in the ongoing recruitment of claims management officers, the 2 communities account for more than 50% of the shortlisted candidates. And that is the hiring of the people in the SHA. And the Standard is saying that there are only 2 communities that is dominating the job chances, and that are forming the 50% of the shortlisted candidates. That is also one of the stories that is making headlines in the Standard newspaper. And also we have from secret affair to murder charge, that is Obado's long trial over Sharon's death. This is the story of the former Migori governor Obado, and also his trial over Sharon's death. And that is former Governor Okoth Obado and the late Sharon Otieno. This story that has been in court for over 6 years now, and courtroom 4 at Milimani Law Court has been the stage of the legal battle that has consumed career and left a family broken. And that is 42 witnesses have testified and 81 exhibits have been produced. A journalist who was abducted alongside Sharon Otieno has relived his terror and the stand and on stand. That is also a story that has been occurring for more than 6 years now, and is still continuing, so that the family also gets a little bit of justice. And also State House ballooning budget expenses, the 10-point agenda lie. State House ballooning budget exposes the 10-point agenda lie. And also last week, President William Ruto and interim ODM party leader Oburu Oginga sat aside at the Kenyatta National Convention Center to receive the official implementation of the 10-point agenda. The document prepared by the Agnes Zani Committee, COIN 10, claimed significant progress, 9 bills drafted to address electoral loopholes, that is 2 billion shillings set aside to protect victim, and 80% implementation rate at agreed commitments. Within 24 hours, that narrative was tested against the reality. The Linda Mwananchi fraction of the ODM, led by the Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, released a blistering counter report awarding the government a score of 1 out of 10. That is a report that was given by the Linda Mwananchi ground last week, after the president and also the ODM, the current ODM party leader, Dr. Oburu Oginga, released the 10-point agenda report. That was also termed as the 10-point lie agenda by the ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and his counterpart Babu Owino. And also this report was awarded a 1 out of 10 out of the 10 points that was agreed by the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga and also the President William Samoei Ruto. The 10-point agenda, and this document was prepared by the Agnes Zani, that was led by Agnes Zani, who find that Matiang'i has failed us, Jubilee aspirant in Mount Kenya region say. Matiang'i has failed us, Jubilee aspirant in Mount Kenya region say. And I can see out of this, from this picture, is that I can see the Jubilee Party Deputy Leader Fred Matiang'i and other leaders during an official operating of the party Rift Valley Regional and Nakuru County offices in Section 58. That is Nakuru City. That is the former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i's ability to endear himself to the masses in the Mount Kenya region has been called into question after some Jubilee leaders accused him of being held hostage by Democracy for Citizens Party DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua. And there has been complaints that Matiang'i has failed the Jubilee Party, and Jubilee aspirant in Mount Kenya region are raising that complaint. That is also one of the stories that is making headlines this very morning in the Standard newspaper. And also we also have the story of the fallout of ODM function to hold 2 parallel conversations, and also we have ODM troubles, why leaders need to write wills for their nations. Why leaders need to write wills for their nation. I can see the Kisumu Governor Honorable Anyang' Nyong'o with the late Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, and that is during a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of affordable house at the former Makasembo estate here in Kisumu. And the more Kenya's major parties face trouble after their founders pass on a leave active politics, the more many begins to develop an interest in the culture of politics, leaders writing wills for smooth succession. That is according to what the country has witnessed in the party for the late, that has been led for over 20 years by the late Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, from the fallout to the wrangles that they've had in between themselves, and now they're saying that the leaders should writing wills for the smooth succession and smooth operation for the political parties that are left behind after their successors or after their leaders have passed. That is also one of the stories that is making headlines in the political world in the Standard newspaper. Moving on to other stories is that Gachagua sending emissaries to Ruto, claims Waiguru. Gachagua sending emissaries to Ruto, claims Waiguru. Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru has claimed that former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua wants a political deal with the President William Ruto ahead of next year's election. That is also one of the stories that is making headlines, and it is in the newspaper. Also, opposition condemns police role in Tuju's property, and this is an incident that occurred after Tuju's property was barricaded by police officers after he was informed that he owes a bank debt, so that and from that he cannot access his property, and the police officers were outside his property so that he cannot get in. Opposition leader have strongly criticized that they termed the misuse of state power in the ongoing property dispute involving former Cabinet Secretary Raphael Tuju. The leader warned that the deployment of ununiformed police officers in a civil debt matter threatens the rule of law and investor confidence in the country. Speaking during a church services in Ithanga, Murang'a County, DAP Eugene Wamalwa said the event surrounding Tuju's removal reflects a worrying trend of property grabbing and intimidation in the country. And that is also one of the stories that are making headlines in the newspaper of the Standard. And that is Tuju barricaded from accessing his property after police officers that are ununiformed were sent to bar him from accessing his property. And that one, the opposition has condemned that because it is becoming a threat to the country. Kenya needs prayers. We are not only praying as a responsible opposition. We shall not rest on our laurels. What is happening in Kenya today, robbing property and also land grabbing and even taking personal property, possibly including that of former CS Raphael Tuju, is a worrying. That is what Wamalwa said. He also criticized the arrest of other individuals in related disputes, including respected medical practitioner Dr. Obwaka and activist Chris Bichage. Claimed the arrest pointed to a border attempt to intimidate critics. Tuju was on Saturday formally removed from his current property by armed police officers following a long-running legal dispute between him and the commercial bank that auctioned the property after alleging default on a loan used to develop the site. That is the story that is in the Standard. And also we have Join Gachagua, while Linda Mwananchi team is split on Ruto one-term strategy. Join Gachagua, question mark, while Linda Mwananchi team is split on Ruto's one-term strategy. That is, ODM Secretary Edwin Sifuna is a man of the moment. He has been the talk of the country in the last few weeks since his ODM party attempted to kick him out of the Secretary General position. He is creating vibes not only among the excited youth in social media platforms, but also in political circles. And that is also in the Standard newspaper this morning. And we also have Matiang'i faces Mount Kenya test, Jubilee leaders question his leadership, and also Mbarire, Ruto face off on gender rule ignites debate, and Sifuna receives boost in political ambition. That is Bukusu elders invite Sifuna for blessings as political star rises. And Bukusu elders have started warming up to Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, whose political star appears to be shining bright. A section of elders have since invited Sifuna for community blessings as they back his top leadership and political ambition. They say that the time for the Luhya nation to unite is now, urging Sifuna to stay grounded and true to his roots, declaring his political star to ignore the blessings him from the future leader. The elders believe that the time for Luhya nation to unite is now, urging Sifuna to lead the way following the exemptional political prowess. And we also have Goliath versus Soprano. Insults fly as Mount Kenya power struggle heats up. We have Goliath versus Soprano, that is the Deputy President Dr. Kithure Kindiki versus the former Deputy President Gachagua. And the political rivalry between the Deputy President Kithure Kindiki and his predecessor Rigathi Gachagua has escalated into personal attacks as the two leaders battle for influence in the Mount Kenya region. And also we have my removal from office illegal, Sifuna tells tribunal. And also we have ODM defense Sifuna ouster as Secretary General cites indiscipline. Those are some of the stories that are creating headlines this morning in the Standard newspaper. We are taking a quick short break, and we are coming back with business news, and also we are coming back to update you on sports news as we continue with the morning scope. Later on, we will have the scope conversation. Stay with us as we continue and to bring you more updates. back for business news in the morning scope, and we are here still in the Standard newspaper, and also I can see in the business news we are having this story that is making headlines, and that is the war between Iran and also Israel that has made the fuel prices remain unchanged despite the Middle East tension. Despite the tension that has been across the Middle East, that is the war between Iran and Israel, still the fuel prices remain unchanged despite that tension. And the fuel prices will remain unchanged for the March to April 2026 pricing period. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, that is EPRA, has announced. Under the latest preview, Nairobi motorists will pay shillings 178.28 per litre of petrol, and also 166.54 of diesel, that is per litre, and also shillings 152.78 for kerosene. Regional prices are slightly lower. In Mombasa, petrol will retail at 176.78 shillings per litre, and diesel at 165.12 per litre, and kerosene at 151.54 per litre. In Kisumu, motorists will pay shillings 176.98 for petrol, and also 165.30 for diesel, and 151.65 for kerosene, while in Eldoret prices are at 177.28 per litre of petrol, 165.78 per litre of diesel, and also 151.98 of kerosene respectively. According to EPRA, the authority has considered vessels that were received and discharged between the 10th of February 2026 until 9th March 2026, and most of the vessels are favorably priced cargoes, and the effects of the situation in the Middle East has not affected the price yet. The review comes amid geopolitical instability in the Middle East, including recent disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, where several ships were attacked and major shipping firms suspended operations along the route. And those are some of the prices that were released by the EPRA across the country, that is in Mombasa, Nairobi, Kisumu, and also in Eldoret. And fuel prices remain as unchanged. And also let us look at why fuel prices remain unchanged despite attacks on Iran. Palm prices will remain unchanged for the next 1 month, even as Kenyans anticipate the ripple effects of the US-Israel attack on Iran to reflect on fuel costs during the next review. And then full in tray for reappointment Nuclear Agency Chair. Full in tray for reappointment of Nuclear Agency Chair, and that is Kenya Nuclear Regulatory Authority Chairman Edick Anyanga. President William Ruto has reappointed the former MP Omondi Anyanga to chair the Kenya Nuclear Regulatory Authority, that is KNRA board. According to the Gazette notice released on Saturday, Mr. Anyanga reappointed takes effect on March 13, 2026 for the next 3 years. These first assumed the role in February 2023. Mr. Anyanga's tenure was marked by the efforts to strengthen regulatory capacity and deepen cooperation with intentional nuclear watchdogs. And also the reappointment sector insiders say give him the one Ross task to ensure continuity as Kenya advanced the regulatory groundwork needed for its ambitious nuclear power development. And also Kenyan's meat exports disrupted by Middle East war. That is also one of the stories that are making headlines. And now pension asset is fixed. Deposits dropped 11% on low interest rates. Pension assets in fixed deposits dropped 11% on low interest rate. Pension in investment in fixed deposit declined by 11.7% in the 6 months to December 2025 following the Central Bank of Kenya CBK considerate reduction of the base lending rate. An industry brief by the Retirement Benefits Authority shows this is the only investment vehicle of the approved 15 that reported a drop during the period. And the drop explained the RBA is associated with the lower income from fixed deposit due to the now single digit rate. And that was the main story that was creating headlines in the business news. On to one last story is that Naivasha business light up as farms rush to showcase Safari Rally style services. Naivasha businesses light up as farms rush to showcase Safari Rally style services. And local businesses in Naivasha region are reaping significant gains from the influx of spectators and crew for the Safari Rally Kenya, with hospitality and retail sector reporting a sharp uptick in activity as the World Rally Championship event enters its second day. An estimated 600,000 spectators are attending the 4-day event, including more than 10,000 regional visitors from Uganda, Tanzania, and also Ethiopia, injecting millions of shillings into the local economy. Hotels and also short-term rental properties along Moi South Lake Road are reporting full occupancy, with rates more than doubling in some cases, while vendors and transport operators are capitalizing on the surging in foot traffic. For fuel retailer Galana Energies, the rally has provided a high-octane opportunity to engage directly with the consumers and showcase its brand to captive audience and motorist enthusiasts. And that is also the stories that is making headlines in the business section. And also we have Kenyan's tea sector in crisis over shipping route closure. Kenyan's tea sector in crisis talks over shipping route closure. The closure of a major shipping route has forced leaders in the tea sector to convene crisis meeting as they consider using longer routes to reach key report destinations. The leaders fear that the transporting of the commodity to the international markets will become more expensive if the crisis persists, potentially disrupting the cash flow of tea factories. A major concern in the sector of the factories may be unable to pay the unexpected mini bonus to farmers next month, which might cause an uproar in the tea growing belts. That is the story of Kenyan tea sector that is affected by the current closure of the shipping routes in their daily activities. So those are some of the stories that are making headlines in the business sector. We are coming back with more updates on sports news and also to update you on what is happening in the sports world. Stay with us. All right, welcome back for the sports news in the morning scope, and we are looking at what is happening in the sports sector, and this is one of the stories that is I can see making headlines in our newspaper is that Spurs strike late to stun Liverpool and end losing streak. Spurs strike late to stun Liverpool and Liverpool end losing streak. And also we have Richarlison's 90th minute equalizer salvaged a 1-1 draw for Tottenham and Liverpool on snap a club record losing streak on Sunday and boost their chance of Premier League survival. And Dominic free kick had Tottenham headed for a 7th consecutive defeat in all competitions, but Liverpool were made to pay for another lackluster performance when a former Everton forward leveled later on. A point edges Spurs 1 point headed on regulation rivals Nottingham Forest and West Ham with 8 games to go. Liverpool move above Chelsea into 5th, but Ancelotti's men were wasted a huge chance to climb into 4th and strengthen their chances of Champions League football next season. Interim Spurs boss Igor Tudor survived calls for his sacking after a 5-2 thrashing by Atletico Madrid in the Champions League in the midweek. And also that is a story that is creating headlines in the newspaper. And also we have Benin McCarthy on how racism faced him out of La Liga. Benin McCarthy has disclosed how the need to escape racism in Spain drove him into ditching high-standard La Liga for lower-ranked Portuguese league. Harambee Stars coach Benin McCarthy has opened up on the painful decision to leave Spain for Portugal during his playing career. That is also a story that is in the headline in the newspaper. And also we have Shabana slipped at home as Kariobangi Sharks complete late comeback. Shabana slipped at home as Kariobangi Sharks complete late comeback. That is, Shabana FC suffered a narrow 2-1 defeat at Kariobangi Sharks at home in an FKF Premier League clash at Gusii Stadium last evening. Shabana started the match brightly and took the game to their visitors in the opening 15 minutes. Their best chance came in the 16th minute when Oduor's strike was desperately cleared off the line. Kariobangi Sharks, however, defended resolutely in the early stages as they sought to create more distance between themselves and the regionalism zone. That is, and also we have Man United sinks Villa to boost top. Man United sinks Villa to boost top 4 bid. We have Manchester United bolstered their bid to qualify for the Champions League with a vital 3-1 win against top 4 viral Aston Villa on Sunday. Michael Carrick's side took the lead through Casemiro's second half opener at the Old Trafford before boss Barkley held Villa level. United finished strongly with Matthews, Kanha and Benjamin Sekou scoring in the closing stages to seal Carrick's 7th win in 9th game since taking over as an interim boss. And lastly, we have Mombasa United maintain NSL led with another home victory. Mombasa United extended their unbeaten home run in the National Super League for the defeating Kabati Youth 2-0 at the Mombasa Sports Club ground on Sunday afternoon. The hosts scored once in each half through Dennis Toeri and Samuel Attar to secure another crucial victory and maintain their lead at the top of the National Super League standings. And emotional Antonelli wins a maiden Grand Prix with Mercedes 1-2 in China. Emotional Antonelli wins maiden Grand Prix with Mercedes 1-2 in China. And an emotional Kemei won a Grand Prix for the first time on Sunday in China ahead of the Mercedes teammate George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, who made his maiden podium for Ferrari. The 19th-year-old converted being the youngest pollster in Formula One history into victory after both McLarens dramatically failed to start their Shanghai race. And tough safari rally for the Kenya drivers as Shugu retires after spectator vandalism. And that is also a story that is making headlines, is the tough safari rally for the Kenyan drivers as Shugu retires after spectator vandalism. The Kenya rally drivers faced a tough outing at the 2026 Safari Rally Kenya as the punishing Naivasha terrain tested both man and machine. Two-time African Championship Karen Patel navigated by Atosif Khan in Shoka Fabia finished 7th in the WRC second category with a total time of 4 minutes 26 4 hours 26 minutes and 54 seconds. And the Captoriot Virani and co-driver Zahani followed closely in 8th place in WRC second, clocking 4 hours 43 minutes and 6 seconds. And that is the stories that are making headlines in the sports news this morning. And also we have Toyota drivers Takamoto Kutsa wins maiden WRC Safari Rally title, Kenyans Karen Patel the 17th. Toyota driver Takamoto Kutsa wins maiden WRC Safari Rally title, Kenya Karen Patel 17th. The Toyota driver Takamoto Kutsa on Sunday gave himself an early birthday gift. The Japanese overcoming rough terrain and wet weather to win the World Rally Championship Safari Rally in Naivasha. It was the Japanese driver's first success in the World Rally Championship, and this first in the Kenyan round of the Global Series. He will turn 33 tomorrow, and that is today. He is turning 33. Kutsa, navigated by Aaron Johnston from Ireland, won by 27.4 seconds from Hyundai Adrian and co-driver Alexandra Correa. Toyota's Sami Pajari was third. The 32-year-old Kutsa, who was in the 94th WRC start, became the first Japanese driver to win in the WRC series since Kenjiro triumphed in the Rally of Cote d'Ivoire in 1992. Those are some of the stories that are making headlines today in the sports news. We are taking a short break and we'll be back with more stories in just a bit. Just stay with us.
Maggie na Jesus.
Thank you so much for staying with us in the morning scope. And now we just want to get a review on what has been happening in our newspapers of the day. And also we want to have a look at some of the top stories that have been hitting the headlines. And I can see that the MP Ichung'wah wants school barred from selling uniforms. MP Ichung'wah wants schools barred from selling uniform. That is, the National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah wants the government to come up with their policies that stop the school from selling school uniforms to learners. The Kikuyu Member of Parliament say would give parents the freedom to buy uniform from shops of their choice. And Ichung'wah, who was also speaking in Uriri sub-county on Sunday, said many schools are compelling parents to buy uniforms from the school at a very high price. Ichung'wah said that the Ministry of Education should also come up with policies that ensure that learners who attend grade 1 to junior secondary school in the same school have the same uniform. And we also have China urges US to immediately correct NUR's trade practices. China urges US to immediately correct erroneous trade practices, and Beijing said on Monday it has logged representation and urged Washington to correct its injurious ways after the US launched new trade probes last week, with the negotiators from both countries meeting in Paris. And 3 suspects arrested after robbing man 320,000. 3 suspects arrested after robbing man 320,000 at gunpoint. And detective of the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, that is the DCI, have arrested 3 suspects in connection with a robbery incident in Kuria East, Migori County, where a motorist was robbed of 320,000 at gunpoint. In a statement on Sunday, March 15th, the DCI said the incident occurred in the night of March 14, 2026, while the victim was responding to a distress call. And now I want us to have a look at what is happening at the Star newspaper. And if I have a look at the Star newspaper, the story that is making headlines is that over 47 knocked after attack on police station in Migori, and that is one of the stories that is making headlines in the Star newspaper. Over 47 arrested in operation after attack on Makalda police station in Migori, and that is one of the stories that is making headlines in the Star newspaper. And I can also see Wanga and Otiende and Babu stand with Tuju. That is Wanga, Otiende Amolo, Babu Owino visit Tuju's Dairy Business Park, raise concerns over police presence. The ODM chairperson Gladys Wanga, MP Otiende Amolo, Rarieda, and the Babu Owino, Embakasi East MP, on Saturday visited the Dairy Business Park premises in support of former Cabinet Secretary Raphael Tuju. The leaders expressed concern over the continued police presence at the facility owned by the ex-minister, called on Inspector General of the Police Douglas Kanja to review the deployment. And maybe just to read other top stories that are making headlines is the Tuju staff hold service outside Karen property, and that was yesterday, where Tuju staffs held a service outside the Karen property. And also we have ex-medic, how second-hand phone landed me in jail. That is also one of the stories that is making headlines. And also we have civil servants to buy commercial vehicles with state car loan cash. That is also amongst the stories that is making headlines in the Star newspaper this morning. Thank you so much for staying with the morning conversation and also the morning newspaper review up to this moment. We are winding it up. At that point, we shall bring you more in our news at the top hour. That will be news at 1 and also at 7 p.m. in the evening. Stay with us and continue being with us. Remember to find us at all our social media platform, that is at Cityscope TV and also at Clifford Ogonda. Remember also to leave a short code that is at 24510, and we will get to read them once we get back. Stay with us and continue watching. This is Cityscope Television and I'm your host Clifford Ogonda. Thank you so much and bye for now.